All right, Libras, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for December 21st to the 27th. My name is Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to this type of astrology, do check the description down below because your sign might be different, especially for you Libras, because Libra is a very small constellation. All right, so this week, it's Christmas week. Happy holidays for those of you who celebrate Christmas. And we have some very nice aspects in the astrology, interestingly enough. We also have a full moon on Christmas Day, interestingly also, which is going to be in your ninth house of spirituality, expansion, philosophy, and higher learning, things like that. And Uranus going station direct moving forward in Pisces, which will be in that sixth house of yours around your routine. So you can see here's the transit graph. Very nice aspects, especially from Mercury and Venus, which I'll talk more about. But yeah, pretty easygoing week. So let's go and look at this as the beginning of the week here on Monday. We are coming off of perhaps a transformative weekend with Mercury going over Pluto and squaring up to Uranus, but maybe something we're integrating with any changes that happened over the previous weekend, but it can be quite healing. I think just naturally on Monday we're feeling quite rejuvenated and feeling quite good in general. I think specifically for you around maybe that philosophy, that higher learning, and your overarching view of life, maybe about your life path as well, and maybe just easy going because Mercury does rule your 12th. So maybe about that alone time, that spiritual time out, and maybe that's where the transformation sort of occurred, which is then creating this more healed energy coming into the week. But it is also about integrating it too in terms of, Mercury is still squaring up to Uranus sort of, so keeping everything nice and grounded and on an even keel. Involving those areas, I think, will be important. And it's all happening in your third house of communications. I think, over the past couple of weeks, maybe you've been thinking more about the importance of social energy, interacting, socializing, maybe learning, reading, writing, sharing information in general. And that's where, the support is very much so this week. Now, the sun does shift into your third house, so there is more of an awareness about these areas, the communicative aspects, and maybe more of an insight and more of an interest and focus in regards to the socializing or in regards to learning or sharing information or whatever it might be with that third house. So definitely a shift, and this is coming from a shift where I think you were thinking more about maybe the material aspects of life of that second house, or more focused on them. I think now the shift is more about the communicative and intellectual avenues of life. So that's at the beginning of the week, and then no major aspects till we get to Thursday, which is going to be Christmas Eve. Venus does sextile up to Jupiter. So here, pretty easy going. Two benefics, very nicely aspecting each other. This is your ruler, of course, from your first house nonetheless, too. So you guys should be feeling good, looking good. Maybe the relationship stuff is quite assertive with Venus in that first house. But you're probably thinking a lot about your goals and your drives, your ambitions lately too. And all of this can be quite expansive. Maybe some more opportunities to assert yourself, to pursue any plans or goals this week. And it could be about anything, but it could be specifically around relationships and the deeper aspects of life with Venus. But in either case, I think you should be feeling quite optimistic. I think you're seeing the overarching view this middle part of the week, and it's all coming from this expansion that's been happening with maybe groups or community things, or maybe with your ideals and visions, which has been Jupiter transiting that 11th house of yours. Now on Christmas Day, that full moon on Friday, so this is going to be a culmination of anything over the past 6 months you've been working on involving travel or philosophy or spirituality in some sense. But at the very least, you're having an awareness and a culmination of your life path. I think it's an excellent time with a full moon in the ninth house to kind of reflect on the life path, reflect about life, the meaning of life, these kinds of questions, where the life path is taking you. This full moon is very well aspected. It's going to be trining up to Neptune. Again, easy flow of energy, and a square up to Jupiter usually is quite optimistic. So it is about taking that optimism and grounding it, but still, there should be a high point for you involving more philosophical, theoretical, and expansive views of life, which through that awareness and maybe through that reflection as well, maybe even putting energy into that area, could be very supportive this week for the other areas of your chart. Now, also on Friday, Christmas, Mercury does trine up to Jupiter. So there is, again, more support coming in here for the communication aspects. Maybe there's philosophy, buoyancy about it. Maybe there's, some insights about the world or society or the community in some sense that you're sharing or communicating about, which again could be very supportive and easygoing with Mercury again ruling that 12th house of yours. Now Uranus does go station direct on Christmas Day, so things are shifting in regards to maybe your work, and it's all about freedom in your work, you know, with Uranus in that 6th, and maybe with your routine, maybe with your health or your diet in some sense. So it's a good time to kind of pause and reflect on that going into the weekend, but I think there could be a shift and new insight in terms of how you can have more freedom in the daily activities, which I think is going to be very important to follow and listen to over the next 6 months. Now, over the weekend, Mercury does sextile up to the North Node, Venus sextiles the North Node, and Mercury trines the North Node. So again, both of those areas, Mercury, Venus, now very much supporting the life path, which for you over the past 2 years has been to maybe pursue your spirituality, get that alone time, that, you know, establish that connection with God, establish that connection with, you know, yourself, that deeper connection of life in general, and have faith and trust. And I think it's a great weekend for anything meditative, anything spiritual, prayer, church, if you go to church, things like that. I think be an excellent weekend for maybe just getting that alone time and that rest and relaxation as well. I think there's a lot to learn about that, and I think it can be quite motivating and enjoyable with your ruler in the first house aspecting up to it as well. All right, Libra, so have a fantastic week. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.